Okay, right, here's our 60-minute Wednesday wellness session, beginning on our backs. Take a few minutes to just lie down and close those eyes off and have a little check-in with the lower back, because if you're feeling it, if you're aware of it, it might be more useful to bend the knees and let the knees fall in, or even open them up in like a Baddha Konasana butterfly diamond shape. Hi Helen. We're starting on our backs. So just checking that lower back, and if the legs feel happy to be extended, just lengthen them away. Otherwise, keep them bent, knocking in. And close the eyes off. Just allow yourself a moment. We don't want to force ourselves to be completely mindless, as in no thoughts in our mind. It takes a while to shift. So if it's more useful, allow yourself like a minute just to review the day, the week so far that's happened, just to let your mind wander and let your breath just freely flow. We don't want to change anything yet. Just let it go to anything that arises and allow yourself that moment. Just notice any holding in the body as you do cast your mind over any events. And now let's just begin to make an intention to get more present. And we can do this by anchoring ourselves to the breath. So start to notice your breath. Start to slow it down. See if the thoughts are still trying to go back to the day or week, or if they're trying to go forward to the practice. And then do that training where we bring ourselves back to the present moment. That's where the gifts are, in the present moment. The gift of being here now. To really anchor in with that breath. And maybe you notice an inner shift or even an external shift in the body as you bring yourself here. Maybe a slight unraveling or loosening. And start to work more intentionally with your breath. We want our breath to flow through the nose if we can. Lots of nerves in the nose, warms up the breath as well. And it filters, so good for germ catching. So do breathe slowly through nostrils. And then do feel free to take a big sigh out of the mouth. Sound can really help us to shift energy. And always filling that belly fully up with air as you breathe. Allowing your inner container to be filled and expanded. We'll do a little count together just to get into a flow. So emptying the air out of your lungs. And then expanding with your inhale for 1, 2, 3. And then letting it out for 3, 2, 1. Breathing it in, 1, 2, 3. Releasing it, 3, 2, 1. Bringing it back in, 1, 2, 3. And out for 3, 2, 1. Bring in, let that belly fill up first, and then the ribs and chest. And then releasing it. And belly fills up, inhale. And belly releases, exhale. Start to deepen it now. 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. 4, 3, 2, 1, and in. 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. 4, 3, 2, 1, and in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Staying here. 4, 3, 2, 1. Make this a longer, fuller breath to your own count this time. And then release it. If there's any intentions you like to set at the beginning of your practice, then you can do that now. Sometimes it's nice to dedicate your practice to somebody. Dedicate it to yourself. Now, if your knees aren't already bent, just bring the heels a little bit closer to the bottom. And we're going to cactus the arms so that there's a bend in the elbows, and then they're at 90 degrees. So I want you to start to bring some awareness to your chest, your heart space, and then your armpits and your shoulders. Now we'll take an inhale and reach the fingers up and overhead as if we're doing a full body stretch, but only stretching the top half of our body. And then as you exhale, bring them back into a T shape. Inhale, reach the fingers up, stretch all the way through the tips. And then exhale them down. Now, if you notice this starts to affect your low back, just imprint the low back into the floor as you reach the hands up and overhead. So you're just going to like tuck that tailbone, scoop it, and you'll feel the stomach switch on slightly. So there's a little contraction there. Good. So do a couple of flows there. Just get into the body. Really fully stretching as far as you can. Big space between the lower rib and the armpit. And then drawing it in. Really nice. This time as you draw the shoulders down, bring the knees into the chest and reach for either the top of the kneecaps or round the sides to the shins or the thighs. And then just roll a little bit from side to side. Now really tuck the pelvis here. You can even squeeze the pelvic floor as well. Just start to wake this area up. What happens is through gravity we can get a lot of mucus in this area. So as we bring some circulation here, we can just help things shift and move. The knees can be quite wide if that's nice, or you can draw them together. Just have a little play in a rock from side to side. Always staying present with your breath. Notice what it's doing. And then we'll drop the feet to the floor and extend them, slide them away one at a time. Take a full body stretch. Stretch the fingers up and overhead, point the toes. Tilt the pelvis so you're tucking it under as if you're lifting the hips upwards towards your body without actually doing that. Take a big inhale, and as you exhale, draw the knees into the chest. And if it's okay on your neck, begin to lift the forehead up towards the knees and squeeze everything into a tiny tight ball. And as you do this, check in that the shoulders aren't hunching up, but there's a good space. They're drawing down towards the floor. Nice big space and a big breath. Oh. Nice. And then we're going to work on strengthening the legs just a touch here. So please do extend both legs. Just check that you've got a long spine, so we could do that just by tucking the chin in slightly. I'm going to need to shuffle to show you here. Now we're going to raise the right leg up, but we need to anchor down with the left leg. So imagine you're drawing the back of the leg down to the floor and push through the heel, and we want to maintain that throughout the whole of this exercise. Now we're going to use the stomach muscles to help lift the right leg about 45 degrees. And then as you do that, draw your attention to your right hip and make sure it's imprinted onto the floor. It can help again to have that tuck of the tailbone so that that low back is kind of
pushing downwards into the floor. And it is a test of strength, so stay with your breath. If things are shaking, that's really, really normal. Try and work through it if you can, but if you need to rest the leg, then do so. And remember to keep anchoring through that left leg. Good. We're going to stay here for 5 breaths. I'm going to count you down. That's 4. You can press your hands into the floor to help you. 3, 2, 1. And now take the leg up to 90 degrees. And remember to take your attention down to your right hip. The back of the hip should be on the floor. Keep a bend in the knee if that feels better in the hamstring. We're going to hold this leg up. So draw the thigh bone down into the hip to help strengthen. We're going to be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now slowly bring it halfway down, back to 45 degrees. Should feel something burning by now. Here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take it down to 30 degrees. Keep that activation for your left leg. That's really pushing into the floor. And then with your next exhale, slowly, slowly, slowly lower it down and take a big sigh of relief. If you found that easy, I'm very impressed. This is where I like to check in between those muscles between the right and the left, and I can feel a huge difference in that imbalance. So we're going to have to do the other side. So we start by activating through the right heel, pushing the back of the right leg strongly into the floor. You might want to even just kind of push through the hands as you bring that left leg up to 45 degrees. Anchor down through the back of the left hip. Close your eyes off to keep that internal focus. Imprint the low back. Here for 5. Present breaths. 4. Keep breathing. 3, 2, 1. And then lift it higher. Maybe there's a good bend in the leg. Maybe it's straight. Keep activating through your right leg, drawing the thighs down into the hips or up into the hips, whichever way around you want to think of it. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We move on the exhale to halfway, 45 degrees. Helps to lengthen that leg away. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we're at 30 degrees. Really anchor through the right leg, push it down into the floor. And then with a controlled exhale, we lower the leg, lower the leg, lower the leg. And you probably hate me now, but you've got lovely strong legs now. Cool. So it's good to take a full body stretch here. So really lift up, point through the feet, let the ribs flare up, or let the low back lift off if that's comfortable. Fill that space up with air. Ooh, and then bring it all back down again. So carry on with the legs for a little bit. This time, bend the knees. We're going to move into bridge. So if you're familiar with that, go through your setup. Your toes should be pointing away from you. Your back's lengthening it into the floor. Now, before we move up all the way up into bridge, we're only going to tilt this pelvis backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. So it's almost an exaggerated curvature in the low back as we scoop the hips down and away from us. And then as you exhale, we imprint the low back into the floor and pull up through the pelvic floor muscles here. And then inhale, tilt that pelvic bowl. So just working that lower lumbar spine and sacrum and coccyx muscle. Actually quite nice to place your hand on your hips or on the top of your hips, on your waist, sorry, or your hips. And just feel that rocking back and forwards. This is bringing circulation in and it's helping to remove some of that mucus that I was just talking about, that build up. And just free flick things up here. Nice, check in with the feet, the toes are spread, not gripping the floor. And then we can start to lift off. So as you exhale this time, tilt the tailbone, push through the feet and start to lift the bottom off the floor. So at the peak of this, we want a beautiful long spine. The chin is tucked down, and it's almost like the knees are pushing away from us and the heels of our feet are pushing towards our butts. Inner thighs are working, and then we can imprint that spine back down, each vertebrae dropping. Really controlled. Nice. The full length of the inhale down, and then the exhale to lift up and off the floor. Raise the hips, tuck the chin. Your arms can freely do what they want here. So you might be they are down by the sides of your body, helping to push down in the floor to lift you. Or it might be that they want to even stretch up and overhead and then come down. So I'm going to give you a couple of free-flowing movements in your own time. I'm going to have a peek at you. And I want you just to keep checking in the inner thighs are engaging so that the knees aren't knocking out. If this gets into your low back too much, then don't come up so high, or just carry on with those little pelvic tilts back and forwards. Just check what's happening with the breath. And also whenever we check in with the breath, it's an opportunity to check in with the mind. You know, try and place the mind in the muscles or just here in this moment with the breath. Yoga is a great opportunity to be with the body. The body's normally got a lot of messages for us. When you've come down to the floor for your next one, we'll just take a little spinal twist. Before we do so, take the arms out into a T position and externally rotate the shoulders so that the palms are facing up. Take the knees, the feet wider, and then just windscreen wiper those legs from side to side. And just notice every time you come to do these repeated movements that we do, you know, try on every week or every other week, the body's going to feel different every time. It's not always going to progressively feel more flexible or stronger, but it's fluctuating up and down, which is really normal. But we'll have more awareness over that with our yoga practice. If it feels good to linger on one side and really push the knees down towards the floor, intensifying this stretch, then linger there and breathe into it, or keep that gentle flow going if the body's preferring to keep fluid. Notice what happens to the feet as we roll over them and the hips as we take them from side to side. Nice. Come back through the centre, let both knees face the ceiling. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Do a little squeeze, keep the head on the floor. Then let the feet fall to the floor, cross the right leg over the left leg like you were sitting in a chair. Place the palms down by your side, actually a little space between the body, and then drop the knees over to the left side for a spinal twist. Just breathing into your right lung. Actually, it feels good to flip the palms for me and let them face up. So have a little play with that. Imagine as you're breathing deeply that you're just wringing out anything you've picked up from the day. With the out breath, let it out. Any annoying comments or extra tasks you were given or any of your nerves frayed, just let it out with your exhale. And then uncross the legs, stack them on top of each other. Draw your tummy muscles in and down to the floor to help roll the knees back to neutral. Then cross the left leg over the right. And slowly with control, let the knees fall to the right side. Making space for the left side of the body to breathe bigger, more freely. And then come back to that idea of really releasing things with the exhale. Anything that might have got trapped in the body from the day or the week or the year. Breathe into that. And then with the next breath, just let the knees stack. Press the belly button down towards the floor, draw the knees in. And then we can either roll to the side, slowly come up to sitting, or we can take a hold of our knees and start to rock back and forth, gently, gently springing back up into a seated posture. And we'll come to sit. Always the invitation to sit on a yoga block or a cushion or a rolled blanket to raise the hips up. Better for circulation. Let's do that. Let's take a minute. So we're going to work the upper body sort of from the heart upwards, this area that's overworked most of the time. And we're going to start with these things, the eyes. So let's find a comfortable seat in that we can allow our spine to sit quite upright. And just check in with that posture. So we don't want slump asana where we're falling forwards, but this gentle lifting from the heart, like a piece of string lifting us up, and tucking the chin in so that the hips, the heart, the head all sit in a straight line. There's a little bit of effort going on, but we're not clenching or over contracting muscles. Closing the eyes and just checking that the breath is soft so that we can receive the breath down in the diaphragm. So we're using those muscles, we're strengthening them. Always good for metabolism and digestion and relaxation, actually. Let's work the eyes. So we'll just close the eyes off and we'll start to do circles with our eyes. So I'll prompt you. So we'll look up with both eyes, with the eyes closed. We'll take them over to the right. We'll do a full breath down into the belly. And then we'll look down. Always taking a full breath before we move on. Then we'll look over to the left. And then we'll come back to the top again. Take a breath at the top. Let's reverse the circle. Look over to the left. A breath and look down. A breath and look right. And then up once again. And then just let the eyes kind of naturally fall with the eyes shut where they would. Just draw attention to the space behind your eyes and see if there's an element of allowing a softening to take place there. Especially around, there's a big circular muscle, the orbicularis oculi muscle, and that's where we clench, and that's where those expression lines can form. So really soften, let it sink down, and then we'll just do like full circles. So we'll inhale, we'll look up, and for the whole length of the inhale, we'll circle round the clock down to 6 o'clock. Once we reach 6, we'll start the exhale and then begin to look all the way around the other side of the clock. So inhale up at 12 and then slowly work your way down to 6. Begin your exhale from 6 to 12, not missing any points on the clock. Do 3 more circles in that clockwise direction. Fully checking in with full body breathing. Whew. Good one to release tension, headaches. 1 more. Rest in the middle. Now, in a minute we'll go around the other side. You might notice it feels really different this side. So let the body soften. Take your inhale, look up at 12, and then reverse that circle, going in an anti-clockwise direction down to 6, and then exhale, going up to 12. Inhale at the top, and then looking down, and exhale from 6 to 12, not missing any points on that clock face. 3 more in your own time. Knowing that there's loads of muscles around the eye and they're just as important to work as any other body part. Nice. Working with that last circle if you're not already there.
And then just doing a couple of little squeezes. Don't open the eyes, but like squeeze them shut and squeeze them more firmly shut, and then soften the lids. Squeeze and soften, squeeze and soften. This is working on my meibomian glands. So important this time of year. They get really blocked up because of central heating and things like that. So we're just allowing the nourishing tear film to kind of be activated so that it can feed the cornea, the front of the eye. And then when you're ready, look down first of all, let your gaze just be really soft down to the floor. We'll introduce that light in. And then we'll look to center. Check in with that beautiful posture. We're going to move down to the jaw, another area of high tension. We're going to use our hands to work the jaw. So actually just rub the palms together. Bring a little bit of heat here. Keep breathing. Then just kind of cup the jaw. The fingertips should be just around the lower ear or just in front of it. And then start to push the fingers in to the jawline and then just draw them down the jaw until you get to the tip of your chin. And then a little pressure all the way back up again. And there's that point just as you get towards the upper jaw, towards the ear, like where the mandible is. That's a high pressure point of, can be like a pleasure pain point. I think if you punch someone, you can knock them out. So you might want to just get your two fingers, your index finger and your middle finger, and then just start to do little circles around that point. Or just carry on up and down the chin if that feels nicer. But soften the jaw, let it hang, let the lips be loose. Make sure you're breathing into the belly still. And then when you're ready, let go and just do a little wiggle from side to side. Maybe it's softer, maybe you notice you were really holding tension there. All areas that we use for respiration, so we want to soften all these areas. We'll work down to the neck now. Stack in your head, heart and hips. Let the palms face down on the floor or on your legs. And let's just gently take the gaze from side to side. You can have your eyes open or closed. We will work with the breath here. So exhale to one side, inhale to the center, and exhale to the other side. So it's quite a slow movement. Perhaps one side is easier to turn than the other. Maybe you've got like a repeating pattern where you're looking more over to one side than the other. And it's starting to show up in the body. So just be aware of that. Side to side, slowly. Can you allow things to soften? Nice. As we next look to the left, we'll just take our gaze down, drawing that circle with our chin, stretching the neck as we look down, and then taking it to the other side. Check in with your shoulders as you roll your head. And see if you can let go here, because we're most likely clenching. And we want to start to breathe into this space more deeply so that we can shift any blocks, any holding, any knots, any tightness, any adhesions, stuck, sticky energy. Oh, feel that and breathe into it. Nice. We'll hold it over to the right. We'll make a little pillow with our right hand and just let some of the weight fall onto the hand. And then soften, give, and maybe stretch the left fingers down to the floor to intensify the stretch. If that's like, whoa, that's too much, bring the hand back. I want you to tune in and do what's right in this moment for your body. Nice. Really stretch through the fingers if you're going for it. And then let the hand come back to the lap. And then push your head up, support it back to neutral. Just check in there. Is there a little feeling of imbalance? And let's move to the other side to even it up. So making your face pillow first. Let that hand take some of the weight of your head. And then see how far you want to move into the stretch on that side. Make sure you fully breathe. When we breathe up in the chest, which we do for most of the day, it really starts to tighten up the neck. And then we get that referred holding sort of into the face. So this can potentially help with, potential wrinkles when we start to give and let go. Breathe it in fully and then come back to neutral. Nice. Let's keep moving down. We'll move into these shoulders now. Pick them up and let them down. Go up on an inhale and down on an exhale. Might be nice to breathe in and let it out through an open mouth. Really physically see that stress leaving the body with the exhale. Be as loud as you want. If it doesn't feel good to be loud, just go within. Be a bit more introverted. Lean into any knots, any holding. Nice. And then let's just move the shoulders up to the ears one by one. Move them up and backwards so that you're sliding the shoulder blades down the back, taking the ear up to the shoulder as you do that. Nice. And then we can bring the elbows into it as well. Moving the body slightly twisting as we do this movement. To keep things flowing. Keep it flowing. And then if you want to, we can extend the arm up and just do this back stroke. Be quite slow, make your breath fall. Nice. And then come back to the center. We're going to stay seated, but we're going to lengthen the legs out this time. So take your weight into your hands and stretch the legs out. Give them a little shimmy. I'm just going to move to the side so you can see me for this one. So we'll interlace the fingers. Just come onto your sit bones and maybe just move the flesh out of the way to connect those sit bones down. Draw up in the tummy. We'll interlace the fingers. We'll take an inhale at the top. Exhale, reach down. Sweep all the way up. Feel a good stretch through the armpits. And then take the hands behind you with the fingertips facing your bottom, little space between your bottom and your fingertips. And then push the floor away as you lift the heart. Keep the chin tucked for the first few. And breathe into the chest. Oh. And then just come back to neutral seat. We'll just move for a few of those. So interlace the fingers, push the palms away. Push through the heels of the hands, stretch down to the toes. Inhale, come up. Feel stretch down the armpits, opening up the lungs. And then part the hands, fingertips come behind, facing forward. Push into the floor, lift the heart up, tuck the chin. Breathe down into the belly. That's it. Good, and then back to neutral. We'll do that one more time. Interlace fingers, push them away from you, push palms, fold at the hips, reach for the toes. Inhale up, hold it there, open up the lungs. And then part, circle those hands. Got a little space here and a little bend in the elbows and then push the heart up. Breathe into your heart. And then soften through the heart and come back to neutral. We're going to swing the legs round. We'll move into all fours at this point and we'll come into our cat-cows. So just always check your setup before you start moving with a good spread of the fingers. There's always a soft bend in the elbows so that we're using the muscles of the arms and we're not just dumping into the joints. And then we're trying to turn those elbow creases to face forwards and our knees are underneath our hips. Toes are untucked with the toes pointing away from you. And then begin on your inhale as you round through the low back, and you slide the shoulder blades down your back, slide the tips of the shoulder blades together, and take a big inhale as the heart opens. And then as you exhale, push your feet into the floor, start to round through the low back, ripple up the spine, tuck the chin, push the floor away with your hands, and then begin that wave as you start your inhale and your descent of the lower body down towards the floor. Nice. Have a little look at the elbows, make sure there's a soft bend. And make these movements as long as your breath is. Good. Maybe you might just want to move the spine from side to side at this point. If you ever need to come off the wrists and give them the shape, you can do that. Maybe you kind of want to circle things, bring the weight forwards, and then almost coming back into a child's pose. Just a couple of breaths, free fall. Nice. Then we'll work our way up into a little downward dog. So just part the knees, tuck the toes, send your bottom back to your heels, look down at the floor, and then begin to push the floor away. The knees will come up first, and then we start to straighten the legs. Doesn't mean the legs will be straight, but we just begin to straighten them. Look between your legs, push the floor away, lift the hips up, keep that bend in your elbows. Now, I really implore you to explore what is a good position of arms for you. You might want to take them wider. You might want to turn the fingers out slightly or even slightly in. So please play with your dog. Keep it playful, like a real dog. You know, if you want to wag the tail. If you want to pedal the feet, pedal the feet. If you want to come down and shake out the wrists, do a little doggy paddle and do that. Just do whatever the body's calling for. And if you're not sure, ask me. You can keep it static and just draw the tummy in towards the thighs, drawing the thighs up into your hips. Just do what feels good. Take a few breaths. Nice. And then we will just bend the knees more and look between our hands, start to walk the hands forward, dangling in that forward fold. Almost a bit sort of this 8 posture where you swing the hands from side to side or just swing that torso from side to side. And then we'll push through the feet and bring ourselves to rise up to a standing position. Coming to find sort of a mountain pose. I'm just going to have to press pause one moment. Something's just happened. Oh God. Sorry, minor emergency. I'm back with you, ladies. Right, let's find a mountain pose. So, we normally teach feet hip width apart or big toes touching, but it really depends on what's comfortable for you in this moment. So if it feels better to take the feet wider, then do that. But we are looking for some length in our spine. So draw the tailbone down. Make sure the chin is tucked back very slightly. Let the palms face forwards. And then just grow a little bit taller from the crown of your head. In fact, close the eyes down. And as you do that, tune into the center, the tummy, and make sure that the breath is flowing down here, that we're not holding. Nice. Right. We're going to find a warrior one pose from here. So if you place your hands on your hips and just step forwards with the left foot. So the hips are loosely around hip width, or maybe a little bit wider if that feels good for you. We'll keep the front leg straight to begin with, and just square those hips off so that they're both facing forwards. Let's start to feel a bit of a stretch down this right hip flexor. So stretch the right fingertips forwards and really push through that back leg. Really send the heel down into the earth. Feel it switch on. Keep breathing into the belly, and then reach forwards and stretch up with the fingers and circle that arm round. So the body will twist and look to your back hand, and then circle to the front once again. So we'll do a couple like this. So connecting with the breath throughout the whole of the posture. Stretch your hand back as much as you stretch it forwards. And stretch it up as much as you stretch it down. Nice. And then hold it in front of you and step that back leg back a little bit further. Take a bend through the left leg. Push down through that right heel. The glute should be switched on slightly. And let's do that again. Inhale, look behind you, and then begin your exhale. You're putting your head into this as well. Perhaps looking behind your shoulder and then down at the floor. Nice. Full sweeping of that arm. The hips are kind of facing forward as much as they can throughout this posture. Nice. Finish that circle, hold the fingers in front, and then just see if that front leg can slide forward a tiny bit more. And then we'll go through that motion one more time. Anchor down through that back leg. And then this time just sweep the hand down first of all, flip the palm to face the side, and then do those circles forwards. Nice. Keep your concentration on your tummy and let your breath flow into this region. This is a really good one for stretching the lungs. Really focusing on that beautiful lung health. You know, our lungs are really affected when we're sitting all day at a computer. As we constrict them and we don't fully breathe into them. Nice. And then hold the hands down on the waist and spring off that back leg, coming back to a mountain pose. Gain your composure, standing strong. And then we'll move to this on the other side. So stepping forward with the right foot, just as a small space, squaring those hips off. The front leg stays straight for this one. Reach the fingertips forwards. Take an inhale as you stretch up to the sky, flip the palm, look behind you, and circle the hand down. Nice. Moving and flowing with your breath. The main activity here is that pushing of energy through that back heel. Please check in that the toes are spread. Good. And take a nice full circle. And then hold those fingers forwards. See if you could slide the back leg back a tiny bit more, coming onto the toes first, stepping back, and now bending that front leg. Nice. We'll circle forward once again, and this time put your head into the movement, if that feels nice. The breath is flowing down to your belly. Good. Just really push through that back heel. Take one full circle. And if you've got space, shimmy that front leg forward a tiny bit more. And this time we'll make those circles in the opposite direction. So the body moves to the side, but the hips stay forwards. Inhaling, arm goes up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Nice, one more here. And then come to face forward, hands on hips, and step that back leg forwards back into your mountain pose. Nice, take the arms out into a T position with the palms facing forwards and stretch equally through the fingertips. Just see what happens along that space of the inside of the arm as you do that. And then shuffle the shoulders away from the ears a little bit more and see what happens when you draw the tips of the shoulder blades down the back. Big breath into the body. And then just pulse the hands backwards slightly. That we're opening up that chest a little bit more. Just check that we're not going into a back bend as we do that, but keep the tailbone drawing down in neutral. Just like we're fluttering our wings slightly here. If it feels better to widen the feet for stability, then do so. Check that one arm's not dropping more than the other, unless you need to do that if there's any injuries or your anatomy needs that to happen. Good, nice. And then exhale, lower. Shake the fingers out, shimmy the shoulders, bring some energy into these parts of the body. Nice, come back to your mountain pose. Inhale, sweep the hands up, let the palms connect at the top, and then exhale them down the heart center. Inhale, sweep them all the way up to the sky, looking up. And this time, exhale, fold and hinge at the hips, coming back into a forward fold. So dangling the head, let the head be heavy, look between the legs. Just let the lower back expand here. Nice. If it feels nice to take a ragdoll, you can bend the elbows and reach the hands for the opposite elbows. And swing gently, gently, gently. Nice. And start to release the arms if you're taking a ragdoll. Let the hands find the floor, maybe a little wider than shoulder width, and then just step back into a downward dog from here. Just noticing any differences between this down dog and one that you've done previously in the practice. Breathe in really nicely into the back space of the body, and just shimmy your shoulders away from your ears. Again, bring attention to the shoulder blades and the tips, sliding them down the back. And then bend the knees and let the feet find the floor. We're going to take a child's pose here. So let the big toes touching. Your knees can actually be touching, or you can spread the knees a bit wider. Just slowly lower yourself. So come down onto the forearms first of all, and then drop the forehead onto the floor, maybe stretching the arms out in front, or it might even feel better to reach back for your heels. Just making more space between your ears and your shoulders. Breathing fully into the back space of your body. Notice any fluctuations of the mind here. If the fingers are reaching for the toes, then stretch them out overhead. I'm going to take a little side stretch here. So just walk the right hand over to the left, place the palm on top, and do a side stretch, reaching the fingers to the top corner of your left side of your mat. You might need to shuffle your head to get it more central here. A little bit more of a stretch down the right side of the body, and the right lung opening up. And then with the next exhale, move through the center, just repositioning the head, and then working things over to the top right hand, left hand stacked on top of right, just gently moving the head into the center of that space between your arms. freeing up that left side of the body, giving it some space to breathe more freely. Expanding the intercostal muscles. And coming through the center. Sliding the hands underneath the shoulders and slowly coming into a seated position. It's going to give some little moving spinal twists here. So bringing those hands out, palms facing forwards. Inhale, sweep the hands up and overhead. And then exhale over to the left hand, left side, parting those hands. Fingertips gently find the floor. And then coming back through the center. Exhale to the other side. Inhaling up. Feel that stretch down the side of the body equal. And then back to the left side. Inhale up. Shoulders away from ears. And then dropping over to the right. Fingertips briefly find the floor before they sweep back up again. And then this time we hold the twist to the right side. Perhaps taking the hand to the outside edge of the left leg and kind of bending the elbow, pushing into that side to twist a little bit deeper. Now all twists should be real gentle spiral staircase actions of the spine. It's almost like it's as if you had a heart rate monitor on your heart. There should be no extra effort, but just this gradual movement, this gradual twisting. Oops. Just going to reposition me here. The option, the invitation is always to keep your eyes closed or open and glance more over your left shoulder to bring that stretch in with the eyes. We want to unravel ourselves on our exhale, just bring the tummy round and then the chest and the head. And then we'll move to the opposite side. So left hand comes to the outside edge of right knee. And we just gently push into the knee and the floor to twist ourselves round. Bear with me while I get my camera position right. No extra effort going through the heart. Lengthening on your inhale. Giving those inner organs a squeeze with the exhale. Right. And then with your next exhale, let's slowly recenter. Just take a nice gentle side stretch here. So turn the palm to face the sky and sweep up over to the right hand side. Just check here that shoulders away from the ears and we're not collapsing through the the right side. But there's a gentle lengthening of both sides of the body. And then push yourself back to center. Work your way over to the other side. The palm faces the floor and then we stretch from the hip up to the fingertips. We're breathing evenly through both sides of the body. And then we push ourselves back to center. Nice. Bring the knees into the chest so that the feet can find the floor. We're going to work our way up into an inversion here. So it could be shoulder stand if you're used to working with shoulder stand. Or we can do legs up the wall, or for example, I'm going to demo with my legs up the sofa. So my knees are bent, my knees and hips are stacked in one line. I might need to move my camera again. We are going to be here 3 minutes because it takes that long for the benefits to start activating. So get comfy, like grab anything that's going to make this more comfortable, whether it's a blanket underneath here. And I'm going to grab my timer and we'll start now. It's a really good posture to connect with the breath. Maybe taking the hands onto the belly at this point. We really want that lovely lengthening of the spine. So check in that the chin is tucked. And there might be a slight imprinting of that lower spine, but we don't want to switch the belly on too much here. we are taking that feeling of gravity off of our digestive organs. You know, there's a lot, it's a busy area, this pelvic bowl, and the intestines, and the liver sits on top of that, and things can get quite heavy and weighed down. So we're going to let things soften. If you're working with a shoulder stand, then you can kind of feel free to take a minute or a minute and a half with your legs up the wall or on a chair, and then perhaps experiment coming up into shoulder stand and building. And we're about halfway through. Maybe if you really draw your attention internally, you can kind of feel the fluid retracing itself up the legs and just flowing back to the heart, doing its thing with no effort, with complete ease. And we've got one more present moment here. Just checking the face here is not clenching. And perhaps there's space to get those shoulders away from the ears still. Is there anywhere else you can soften? Often even the pelvic floor is gripping and holding here, so let go of that. Half a minute. I'll prompt you when it's time to come out. Take a nice big inhale. And a nice big exhale. Take your time to move out of the posture. It's often nice to bring the knees into the chest first of all. And keep them hugged in as you roll to the side, remove any props, the wall or a chair. And come down into a lying down position. We will take fish pose in a moment, but just let everything recalibrate and settle down here. So traditionally, fish pose follows an inversion. And we'll do it for 1/3 of the time that we did our inversion. So we'll be doing it for a minute. So everybody just bend your knees, let your feet find the floor, and seal the inner thighs together. Rock your weight over to your right hip and then slide your hand, your left hand under your left buttock, and then slide over to the left side, free up the right hip and place your hand underneath there. Your hands are spread, the thumbs are touching, and then start to shimmy the arms a bit closer together, the shoulder blades a bit closer together. So let's keep our knees bent for this one. Keep the chin tucked, and then start to push the forearms down into the floor, lifting the heart space up a bit more. Now, if your neck's completely free and you want to stretch your throat, then you can start to slide the head towards you so that the crown of the head begins to find the floor. Lift your heart space up more, push more into the floor with your elbows. Just checking in the time here. So staying here for about 40 seconds if you can. It's really useful to imagine a piece of string on your heart, which is just gently lifting you up towards the heavens. Breathing, staying present as best as you can. You should feel spaces opening up. Take a really big inhale, a really big exhale, and very, very slowly
Roll onto the back of your head. Soften your arms. And find your final resting pose, a well-deserved Shavasana of your choice. Could be knees bent, could be legs extended. And fully go within for the next minute. Fully give yourself permission for everything to soften and let go. I'm going to give you a minute's silence. This is a really important posture, Shavasana, and we often get such a short time in this. So I'm going to invite you to stay here a little bit longer tonight after tonight's session. So if you can lay here for a few more minutes and just be with your breath, please give yourself permission to do that. If you need to get moving, we're just slightly over 8 o'clock. So if you need to get moving, take your time, start to breathe more deeply and just bring yourself back into a seated posture. And I'm just going to namaste. I'm going to give us a quick Om tonight. Om is a primordial sound. It's the healing sound. I'm going to take a big breath. If anyone wants to join me, feel free. Namaste, everybody. Wishing you a beautiful night. And I'll catch up with you soon.